Who is the greatest investor in modern history? Warren Buffett, George Soros, Peter Lynch, Steve Cohen, or Ray Dalio? No, none of them. Imagine a man who worked as a codebreaker during the Cold War, a mathematical genius who taught at Harvard and MIT at a young age. The U.S. National Security Agency, NSA, called him in to work on classified codes, and he spent some time there until he was fired for opposing the Vietnam War. So he decided to apply his mathematical skills to finance, and his life changed completely. When I first delved into his story, employees of his firm are bound by strict non-disclosure agreements, making it impossible to reveal their strategies. Over his 30-year career, he generated nearly $104 billion in profits. His hedge fund has become the stuff of legends. With an astonishing 66% annual return, his fund delivered unparalleled performance. It is so exclusive that only employees and a select group of investors can participate. If we were to call him the greatest investor of all time, or more accurately, the greatest algorithmic trader, we wouldn't be wrong. His story is filled with intrigue, mystery, and unmatched success. He is not an ordinary investor. He is a mathematical genius. Jim Simons, better than Warren Buffett, and he did it with a much smaller starting capital, a mathematical prodigy. Jim Simons' success in the financial markets is a puzzle that has left experts baffled. He has an obsession with recognizing patterns, believing that, like everything else in the universe, markets follow mathematical principles. Born in Brooklyn in 1938, he was a voracious reader from a young age. If you study the lives of other successful individuals, you'll notice a common thread. Most were bookworms as children. Simons was no exception. He was obsessed with math from an early age. At 3 years old, he was already solving complex problems. One day, his parents found him dividing 1,024 by 2 repeatedly, working his way down. For a toddler, this was an incredible feat. Another time, while on a road trip, his father stopped to refuel the car. 4-year-old Jim was confused. He assumed the gas tank would never be empty because you could always use half, then half of the remaining half, and so on. Without realizing it, he had stumbled upon a classic mathematical paradox, one that the Greek philosopher Zeno posed centuries ago. If you must always travel half the remaining distance to a target, how can you ever reach it? His family wanted him to become a doctor, but Simons had other plans. He pursued a mathematics degree at MIT and was fascinated by how complex equations seemed to hint at universal structures. He often lay on his back, eyes closed, contemplating equations. Notice something? This is another trait of highly successful people, intense curiosity. One night, he spotted 2 of his professors, both renowned mathematicians, engaged in a deep discussion at a late-night cafe. At that moment, he decided, this is the life I want: cigarettes, coffee, and math at all hours of the day. Well, maybe skip the cigarettes. By 23, Simons had earned a PhD in mathematics from Berkeley. He went on to teach at MIT and later worked as a codebreaker for the Pentagon before returning to Harvard as a professor. In 1968, he published a paper on minimal varieties in Riemannian manifolds, securing his place as one of the most influential geometers of our time. His research had far-reaching effects, influencing fields from quantum computing and string theory to drug development and artificial intelligence. But eventually, teaching became boring. He needed a new challenge. From code-breaking to Wall Street, in 1964, Simons left Harvard to join the Institute for Defense Analyses, IDA, a government agency that hired mathematicians to break Soviet codes. At the time, IDA was struggling. For over a decade, they had failed to crack Soviet encryption. Out of desperation, they started hiring brilliant minds like Simons, even though he had no prior code-breaking experience. Their motto: bad ideas are good, good ideas are great, no idea is bad. At IDA, Simons mastered the art of detecting hidden patterns in seemingly random data. He developed a lightning-fast decryption algorithm. Soon after, intelligence officials intercepted a misconfigured Soviet transmission. Simons and his colleagues pounced on the error, using it to break the enemy's internal messaging system. This made him a star in the intelligence community, but even that wasn't enough. His restless mind craved greater challenges. During his time at IDA, he began exploring financial markets in his free time. Traditional investors relied on news, earnings reports, and intuition. Simons, however, viewed the markets through a purely mathematical lens. Instead of analyzing fundamentals, he focused solely on price movements. He believed that markets exhibited hidden states, just like mathematical models. High variance, one chaotic market uptrend, one stable condition. His unorthodox approach got him fired from his code-breaking job, and that changed his fate forever. The birth of Renaissance technologies. After leaving IDA, he launched Monometrics, a hedge fund, in search of market patterns. More than anything, he wanted to be rich. Unlike his academic peers, he was seduced by the lure of money. There's a famous joke in the US. What's the difference between a PhD in mathematics and a family-sized pizza? A pizza can feed a family of 4. His first move was hiring Leonard Baum, co-creator of the Baum-Welch algorithm, a system for predicting unknown outcomes from observed data. The early years were rough, but Simons persisted. He rebranded Monometrics as Renaissance Technologies, assembling a team of PhDs in quantum physics, astrophysics, mathematics, and medicine. They developed Medallion Fund, which soon became the most profitable hedge fund in history. With 66% annualized returns and over $100 billion in total gains, Medallion broke every record. Unlike traditional hedge funds, Renaissance didn't hire traders. They hired scientists, and they changed Wall Street forever. A legend in his own right today, Jim Simons is worth $28 billion, ranking 49th on Forbes' billionaire list. Yet unlike Buffett, his strategies remain shrouded in secrecy. Maybe that's why there are so few books about him. His life, a Hollywood-worthy story, tragedy, genius, and relentless ambition. So, has there been a movie about him? Not that I've seen. If you know of one, let me know in the comments.